You know you want to be more productive real estate agent, but what are some easy ways to do it? Well, there's many things you can do, but here are 5 tips to help you be more of a productive real estate agent so you can make more moolah. If we haven't met yet, hi, I'm Mo, and I help Texas realtors get to the closing table without feeling overwhelmed or missing out on quality leads with our signature executed contract to close. If you'd like to have access to my show notes where I go in details on how to be more productive to make more moolah, then just drop down below, show me the moolah. Making more money as a real estate agent can be tough. You may feel like you're working all the time and not seeing any results. But you're not alone. According to NARS in 2019, the average agent only made $49,700. That's not enough to live in most places. My first tip is start your day with a plan. Now, I'm not saying wake up the morning and write down your to-do list. I mean the night before. At the end of your day, after you put your children to sleep, you clean your kitchen, and I like to do it when I'm eating dessert because everything's better with ice cream. But I will sit down and write everything that's on my mind, anything as small as put clothes in the washing machine, or to take the car for oil change, or make sure I call back Miss Jenkins for whatever reason. There's a lot of things that run through my mind. And what I do is I put it down on paper because I'm old school, and I organize it. Like what is easily done and what can wait to another day. And then what I do is time block it. So I would say, okay, from 8 to 9, you're going to go work out because, let's be honest, I need to work out. And also it helps with my day. But after that, I'll actually schedule in time for calling clients or to follow up on emails or signatures or loan documents, so many things I do. But I realized that writing it down the night before helps me get a better night's sleep. Why? Because I already took care of it. So I'm not stressing about it in the middle of the night thinking, oh my gosh, did I get that signature? Because if I didn't, it can wait until the morning and it's going to be on my list. So I always recommend people the night before, write down everything you have to take care of and about anything, and then organize it so you can get a good night's sleep. Tip number 2, which is just going to sound very simple, but I will tell you from personal experience, it is very, very hard. It is to set boundaries and stick with them. So for example, when I started Mo & Co., I told myself I would not work on weekends, and then it ended up being I'm not working on Sundays. Why? Because that is the only time that I have to spend with my husband. We can do anything from going to movies to sitting at home and just talking, cooking dinner, meal prepping, anything. I wanted Sundays to be just for him. I don't even see my friends most of the time, unless he has something to do or he's sleeping in watching soccer. But just know Sunday is my day. And the only way for me to have that time is I had to say no to a lot of stuff. I had to tell my agents, like, I'm not available on Sundays. And a lot of them did not like it because with real estate, it is 24/7, but my business is not 24/7. So creating those boundaries let me know who my clientele is and who is not. Now, as a real estate agent, it may not be that simple because your buyers or your sellers may only be available on Sundays and you may have to maneuver it somehow. But you can have some type of boundaries with your family. You can say like, hey, kids are at home. Now, do not come for me because I do not have kids, so I don't know how realistic this is, but I'm just, shooting some ideas out there. But if you have kids who are at home from school, to say like, hey, mommy's busy from 10 to 11. I had to take care of very important calls. They have the rest of the day for you. But that hour is that's you. That's you and your business. Another thing it can be is you don't answer clients' calls from 5 o'clock to 8 o'clock because that is the time that you have for your kids when they're home from school, or your husband or your dog, like me. But you don't answer phone calls. You get to them the next morning, or you just text them back later on. Set those boundaries. Find out what is important to you and then set it. And that brings me my tip number 3, delegate. So delegating is something that I recently started to do in my personal life. If you know me, one thing I hate is cooking. Ooh, child, I don't know how I am the only one in my family who don't like to cook. Now, I can make my husband a nice meal, okay? But I am not the one to sit around and throw a Sunday dinner every week. No, that's not me. And I married the best person ever because he understands, okay? So, what I do is I will buy meal planning kits like at Whole Foods. They have these pre-made meals that you can buy. Now, granted, it is more expensive than cooking, but it's cheaper than going out to eat and it can be healthier. Another thing I just don't have time for is cleaning. I can straighten up the house. I can make it look presentable, but to clean the baseboards and the ceiling fans and the nitty-gritty, no, not me. So I hired a cleaning lady to come in and clean. She'll actually be here this Friday. I'm so excited. But I have them cut once a month and deep clean. And that has saved me so much more time and to put back in my business and get to my clients and my buyers and sellers so they can go on and have like a smooth transactions. But as a real estate agent, you can use someone like me, like a transaction coordinator, and you can let me handle all of your paperwork from the moment it gets executed all the way to closing and post closings, just so you can go out there and find more leads and, you know, be more customer service friendly with your buyers and sellers rather than being in behind a keyboard, making sure our signatures are done and following up with lenders and stuff like that. So those are some examples that help you delegate. Also, remember tip number 2, when we talked about setting boundaries. When you set boundaries, what are some things that you can delegate to help you keep that promise to yourself of that boundary? Tip number 4, take a break. One of the most common things in the real estate industry is people forgetting to eat. And I remember when I first got into the industry and someone told me that, I was just like, me, a foodie, forgetting to eat? No, never that would happen. And now, it's so crazy. Now I will look up at 3 o'clock and realize, like, why is my head hurting? And realize I haven't ate since last night. And it's crazy because, like, I'll wake up, I'll start working, and then you're thinking, like, oh, I'm going to get to it later. And you just put it off, and you forget. Another thing is, with this industry being 24/7, you're always working, you're always on, and you forget about yourself. And sometimes it's good to take a Tuesday at 2 o'clock off and go get a pedicure or meet friends for a casual lunch. And you're probably wondering, okay, Maya, like, taking time out for myself, like, no, this is a time of hustle. No, the hustle culture is very toxic. You cannot pour from an empty cup. So make sure you take a break and take care of you. Tip number 5, stay organized and keep track of your progress. Okay, so I am not a fan of planners. I think they're very beautiful, and yes, I do buy them, and then I use them for decoration for my office. But to actually like use them, no, they don't work for me. What works for me is things very simple, like my Google Calendar. Everything is in my Google Calendar. Like when I schedule closings, when inspections are happening, when I had to take my dog to the groomer, events with my husband. If it's not in my calendar, nobody told me. Trust me. I don't know how I can live life without my calendar. Like I don't know. And I realized having things electronically is better for me, even when it comes to how I work transactions. I have everything in a system that I use called Pre-Close Go, and it has all my dates in there for contracts. It has the contracts, contacts, emails, everything I needed to stay organized. But one thing I love about it is that it tracks my progress. So I always have a date for each, a number for each quarter, like, oh, I want to close this amount of transactions, or I want to have this amount of agents working with me at this date. It lets me know that, like, hey, this is the difference between last quarter and this quarter, and that makes me feel good about myself. Like, dang, I'm actually doing really good. So you should have some type of like CRM for that to help you keep up with your leads. You may not be an electronic person. You may be old school like me with my list. And if so, I'm very jealous that you get to use those cute planners. So if I did planners, what I would do is color code them, and I would let them highlight days like, green for your business, yellow for family, pink for yourself, and then red for things that are like really important. But make sure you keep up with your progress just so you can know how far you came.